Donald Trump changed the dynamic of the Republican race by grabbing attention with his outspoken comments on undocumented immigrants. One candidate who has been willing to take him on joins me now, former Texas Governor Rick Perry. Governor Perry, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good to be with you.
Let me start with getting your opinion as to why Donald Trump has traction in the Republican primary right now.
Well, I think he's talking about an issue that all of us have great concern about. We've been dealing with this issue since back in the mid-2000s. We spent almost $1 billion on border security because the federal government fails to do its constitutional duty. And that's where Mr. Trump and I part company, if you will. He seems to think it's the state's responsibility to do border security. And we all know that border security is one of the basic federal responsibilities. And when I'm the President of the United States, the will to secure that border with Mexico will reside at the White House.
You know, you said something even tougher on Mr. Trump earlier. You said, I have a message for my fellow Republicans and independents who will be voting in the primary process. What Mr. Trump is offering is not conservatism, it is Trumpism, a toxic mix of demagoguery and nonsense. And you won't be surprised that Donald Trump chose to respond to you on Twitter. He said this, that Governor Perry failed on the border. He should be forced to take an IQ test before being allowed to enter the GOP debate. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think he just made my point for me, is that he did not come up with one solution. And that's what Americans are looking for. They're not looking for rhetoric. This is going to be a show me, don't tell me election. And Donald Trump has done just that. He's used demagoguery and rhetoric on an issue that's really important to Americans. I mean, the American people want that border secure. We know how to do it. You put the boots on the ground, you have the strategic fencing in place, and the aviation assets from Tijuana to El Paso to Brownsville, looking down 24/7, Chuck, and having fast response teams to go address issues that are either clearly illegal or suspicious. That's how you secure the border.
I mean, I understand border security first, but what do you do with the 11 million in that phase two?
Well, I'm glad you understand that the single most important thing that we're going to do is secure the border. For 30 years, we've had this conversation about here's what we're going to do with the people that have come over here that we've either given amnesty to or we've dealt with in some form or fashion. And I'm not going to get distracted away from the single most important thing that the next President of the United States is going to do relative to that border with Mexico is secure it, and that's what I intend to do.
Let me be frank here. I think many candidates like yourself don't want to talk about it because the solution is going to upset conservative voters. Is that why?
I disagree with you.
Then what is your solution for the 11 million?
I think what upsets the conservative voter is all of this rhetoric that people push out there, but they don't have a plan to secure the border. We've got a plan to secure the border. As a matter of fact, people have seen it in action partially. Aviation assets are the things that are really missing. And I'm not going to get distracted off the most important thing that the next President of the United States is going to do if that individual is serious about this issue of border security, and that is putting those assets into place, the personnel in the right places, the aviation assets, and the strategic fencing.
So you're not going to share with us your plan for the 11 million?
I'm going to tell you that I'm focused on securing the border because that's what Americans want.
I want to move to your campaign itself. You raised $17 million 4 years ago. You raised just over $1 million this time. What's wrong? What happened?
We're going to have a very efficient campaign this time. People are seeing a substantially more focused and disciplined candidate who spent a lot of time preparing on the issues of domestic policy and monetary policy and foreign policy. And the fact is, the person with the most money may not be the individual that we select as our nominee.
Is it harder to raise money when you're not in office?
Well, I don't know whether it's harder or not, but the fact is we're raising enough money to be competitive. So we've got upwards of $15 million that I understand has been raised for the super PAC. So we'll be competitive. That's what matters. I don't think that the presidency is for sale, and the individuals that raise the most money time after time aren't the ones who get the nomination.
You brought up your policy stances you've been taking this time and the more detail you've been putting out. You were widely praised for a speech you gave here in Washington, D.C. And you talked about a lot of things, your economic focus, but also the Republican Party's problems in wooing African-American voters. And you said this.
For too long, we Republicans have been content to lose the black vote because we found We didn't need it to win. But when we gave up trying to win the support of African Americans, we lost our moral legitimacy as the party of Lincoln.
And there are going to be African American voters that say that, and there have been African American commentators that have liked what you've said. And then they say, but look what he did on voter ID laws, and he didn't expand Medicaid, which would have helped more African Americans than anybody else perhaps in Texas. What do you say to those responses?
I say that those that say that expanding Medicaid is good just don't know the facts. I happen to believe that if you will allow the states to come up with the solutions to deal with the challenges that we have on delivering health care, rather than force them into Medicaid, which studies show that people who are on Medicaid versus those that don't have it, the outcomes are the same. I happen to believe that the states will come up, governors and legislators working together with healthcare providers in those states will come up with better ways. And that's what we're interested in. You, in the state of Texas, see African Americans who have substantially more income per capita. You have the highest graduation rate in America in the state of Texas. That's the way you send the message to the African American community, the Hispanic community, any ethnic community, that this is the place and these are the policies that work. We've been in an experiment in Texas now for over a decade, and economically, educationally, it is clear that this is the policies, this is the place where individuals want to live because their lives are better. And that's the real story here. We're going to reach out into the African American community. Wallace Jefferson, the first Supreme Court Chief Justice in the history of the state of Texas, was done on my watch. Those are the great stories of opportunity that African Americans, Hispanic, all across this country should be looking at and saying, those are the policies that I want to see in my home state. And they're not going to come from some centralized Washington, D.C., Washington knows best mentality. It's going to be those states out there competing against each other.
The Boy Scouts are about to change their policy when it comes to gay scout leaders. Former Defense Secretary Bob Gates, of course, is now in charge of the Boy Scouts on the national leader there. You wrote this in a book in 2008. And it was about scouting. And you said this: openly active gays, particularly advocates, present a problem because gay activism is central to their lives. It would unavoidably be a topic of conversation within a scout troop. This would distract from the mission of scouting, character building, not sex education. Do you still stand by that statement?
I do. I believe that scouting would be better off if they didn't have openly gay scoutmasters.
And so you are against this policy change by Bob Gates?
I am.
And then one final question, the debate criteria. And I know you're one of those that's on the bubble here of how it's being decided. What do you make of it?
Listen, rules are rules, and everybody knows what the rules are, so just live with them. I think that's simply how you need to look at it.
All right. Governor Perry, stay safe on the trail. I know you're going to spend a lot of time in these early states, and we'll have you back again.
Indeed we are.
Thank you, sir. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.